Have you been seeing black helicopters over the skies of Canada lately? Well, if you have, you're not alone. There has been an increased amount of sightings and reports of black helicopters flying over small towns and cities across Canada lately.
I think the helicopters were harassing me.
So today I'm going to try and address some of those sightings and reports and see if we can explain them away. But you can be rest assured you're probably not being followed by the CIA. Unless you saw aliens or something.
I think maybe I seen something I shouldn't have seen.
So what you're probably seeing is this, or these. So what are this, and these?
Black helicopters.
Well, let's go through some of these sightings and reports one by one and see what we can figure out. Okay, so up first we have Calgary, Alberta, Canada. This is a pretty big city. And the people of Calgary have been reporting a pair of black helicopters that have been buzzing the skies of Calgary and the surrounding area over the last couple of years. Well, this one's a real easy one. You see, Calgary just got a pair of new helicopters, Airbus H125s, and they come with all the bells and whistles.
Hawks has evolved over the past few years, and one of the biggest advances we've had in the last 5 years was to acquire 2 brand new H125 Airbus helicopters. These helicopters have been a game changer for us in our missions because they are more technically advanced, and they're also very safe helicopters, which are really important for the type of missions that the Calgary Police Service Hawks Air Support Unit does.
They sport a sleek all-black paint pattern with gold writing and what seem to be some graphics. Now, although this is a police helicopter, it is kind of strange that they chose an all-black pattern. Usually Metropolitan Police helicopters actually have quite colorful liveries. But in this case, Calgary went with an all-black paint scheme with gold markings. Now that's the key right there. The markings are visible. So even though the helicopter is black, the markings are completely visible. These helicopters were relatively recently acquired, so maybe that's why people aren't familiar with them yet. Now this one's kind of a cool story. Again, we have another Airbus H125, but this time the people of Vancouver have been reported seeing a blacked out, unmarked Airbus H125 over the skies of Vancouver at night, flying low for the last few years. Now, as it turned out, this helicopter was smuggling drugs back and forth from the United States and Canada. What we do know is that it was owned and operated by someone called Guardian Helicopters. And this specific helicopter has actually been mentioned in the news lately because of a high-speed aerial chase.
This black, unmarked helicopter is alleged to have circled the landing zone before something spooked the pilot. It fled north into Canadian airspace. An RCMP plane spotted the helicopter on a remote mountainside near Princeton, and the chase was on. As police aircraft followed, the helicopter took many evasive maneuvers in an attempt to lose the RCMP aircraft, according to the court documents. The helicopter flew at very low altitudes, near the tops of the trees and up narrow draws. It repeatedly changed direction and made rapid ascents towards the mountains. The chopper eventually landed near Chilliwack. Police say a search of that property, which is owned by the pilot, turned up more than 70 long guns, 35 handguns, U.S. government helicopter decals, drones, and cash. Meanwhile, back at the landing site, the local sheriff department involved in retrieving suitcases full of methamphetamine abandoned in the forest. U.S. officials say 272 kilograms of narcotics in total were intercepted.
So if you guys have seen this unmarked, blacked out Airbus H125 flying over Vancouver and you wondered what it was a drug smuggling helicopter.
I'd be sleeping at night, 3 a.m, and there's like 3 of these helicopters hovering over my house with no lights on.
Now, if you've seen anything that looks like these, what you're seeing are simply privately owned helicopters. Now, again, I'll note that the difference is that these paint patterns or liveries often have some sort of pinstriping or colors, and the serial numbers are quite visible. Nothing is blacked out. Even though it might use black paint, that's no different than blacking out your Ferrari. Or in the case of Vancouver or Toronto, they could be aerial filming helicopters that film movies and movie scenes. They come in all models, types, shapes, and sizes. So now that we got those out of the way, those are the most common sightings of black helicopters here in Canada. Now let's talk about the more secretive helicopters that we've been seeing flying around at night completely blacked out from Ottawa and across the country and across the US-Canadian border. Who are they and what are they doing? Now, if you live along the border of Canada and the United States, or you've seen blacked out helicopters flying around at night at high speeds at low altitude, what you might actually be seeing are a pair of UH-60A Blackhawks that the RCMP, or Royal Canadian Mounted Police, have leased. Now, they have chosen an interesting paint pattern as well. Now, the RCMP has chosen a blacked out paint scheme with subdued and subtle markings and some red accents. These helicopters have been fairly recently acquired, and this is probably what people are seeing flying near the border.
Yeah, Lindsay, it's been a little more than 1 week that the Royal Canadian Mounted Police have been flying Blackhawks on the border with the U.S., including on the Minnesota border. We learned today that also Canadian conservation officers in Manitoba will be tasked with keeping an eye on the border. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police have launched new Black Hawk helicopters to patrol the border with the United States.
What about these guys? Who do these guys belong to? In some cases, they're marked. In some cases, these helicopters are completely unmarked. And in some cases, the serial numbers are outright false. Who are these guys flying around in dark-colored Bell 412 helicopters? People have been reporting them in the Maritimes, in Hamilton, Ontario, in the GTA, all across the border, in the United States, in small towns all across Canada. People have been seeing these dark-colored Huey helicopters flying around blacked out, low and fast, over their small towns late at night. So who are these guys? Well, it turns out that this is 427 SOAS Squadron, or SOAS, Special Operations Air Squadron. This is a branch of CANSOFCOM, or the Canadian Special Operations Forces Command. This is the helicopter squadron that is responsible for ferrying around all our Special Forces operators, whether it's JSIRU, CZOR, or JTF-2. As of lately, 427 Squadron operated in clandestine operations in Afghanistan and Iraq, and we've also seen them in Mali and Haiti. So these Bell 412s are actually just 427 Squadron CH-146 Griffins, which is the military designation for the Bell 412 EP. Now, from what I can see, 427 Squadron has utilized 5 different paint schemes outside of the standard camouflage paint scheme. We've seen this dark black on gray scheme, a burgundy on gray scheme, a light blue and gray, a dark blue with black accents, and dark blue on gray. Now, there is no official name for any of these paint patterns or paint schemes, so I just called them Civi Pattern 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, believe it or not, in my time in the Army, I worked with CANSOFCOM and 427 Squadron for about a year in total. I would do taskings with them, and from what I understood is that they used these paint schemes for nighttime and urban operations. The reason I call them Civi Pattern is because these helicopters were meant to mimic civilian and media helicopters because they have a domestic terrorism role, and they are often flying at night in urban areas. So their helicopters are meant to mimic news media helicopters and civilian helicopters to confuse enemy forces for as long as possible. Now, 427 Squadron is based out of Petawawa, Ontario, and Kingston, Ontario, but you would see these guys all over Canada. Like I said before, these guys train in the United States and across Canada, and you might see them buzzing your small towns or cities late at night, really low and really fast, doing nap of the earth type stuff. These guys are cowboys, and it shows when you see them flying at night. Now, from what I understand, these Griffins themselves don't actually have any special capabilities other than the paint. All I can reckon is that the difference between these Griffins and the other ones is the caliber of pilot. 427 Squadron has a rigorous training regimen, and only the best rise to the top. And having said that, it's kind of shocking that these Griffins aren't specialized or heavily customized for the purposes of special operations. I also remember operators and pilots from CANSOFCOM saying that they wish they had the MH-60s that the U.S. Army 160th SOAR use. They said it's their favorite aircraft, it's superior in every way, and would be the best for what they do. I hope with the new increase of the military budget and spending that perhaps we can augment or even replace the Griffins in 427 Squadron with the MH-60Ms now. And I don't want to hear anybody from the elbozos up crowd saying we should make our own helicopter or buy a European helicopter and stay away from American technology. Butt out. The experts and the boots on the ground and the pilots themselves want the MH-60s. So what does your opinion matter at all? This isn't about politics or your insane Trump derangement syndrome. This is simply about what the pilots and the boots on the ground want, and they want the MH-60Ms. So I hope that clears everything up for you guys. You've either been seeing drug smuggling helicopters, police helicopters, civvy pattern helicopters of all types and sizes, a pair of Blackhawks that belong to the RCMP patrolling our borders at night, or the secret squirrels of the 427 Special Operations Air Squadron flying for CANSOFCOM and the Canadian military. As far as most of these black helicopter sightings are concerned across Canada, Canadians really have nothing to worry about. Northern Variety Matt out.